If there's another creature that's more annoying to hunters in this game than a cockroach, it has to be the Harassers. But hold on a sec, alright? Because as bothersome as they are for hunters, Harassers are equally irksome for survivors, particularly for those who typically play as decoders and are only adept at cipher rushing, but are now attempting to be Harassers. I understand that being Harassers is within their rights, protected by the Declaration of Independence. However, encountering Harassers who aren't very skilled at it is quite a unique experience. Your role is to harass, not to get harassed. Those are two entirely different things. So this time, let me tell you about these beings called Harassers, whose purpose is to harass the hunters, but sometimes they themselves get harassed by hunters. Defining Harassers in this game is pretty straightforward. They're survivors with a knack for disrupting the hunter's movements or actions. In this game, survivors boast various abilities. Some excel in evasive maneuvers, like perfumers or toy merchants, aiding their escape. Others focus on healing to support their team. Harassers, on the other hand, possess skills to stun or impede the hunter's actions, hindering their attacks, thus securing victory. In the game, certain survivors fit the Harasser role. While the Enchantress stands out as the most well-known, there are several others who excel at harassment, such as the Batter, the Forward, the Prospector, the Antiquarian, the Wildling, the Thief, and even the Little Girl. These survivors are like the ultimate nightmare for hunters, causing them to contemplate uninstalling the game just to escape the torment of being harassed until the bitter end. However, as I mentioned earlier, Harassers can also be a nuisance for fellow survivors. How does that work exactly? Harassers become a nuisance for survivors because their abilities can often backfire and negatively impact the entire team. While seasoned Harassers with thousands of playing hours might not face this issue, newcomers to the role can inadvertently jeopardize the team's success due to their lack of experience. Let's break it down with some examples. First up, we've got the Enchantress, the queen of harassment in the survivor world. She's practically the hunter's worst nightmare because of her ability. See, the Enchantress has this move called Ape Curse that basically freezes the hunter for a second. So, what does an Enchantress's life look like? Well, it's all about chasing down those hunters, sneaking up on them to rack up those curse stacks. It's pretty hilarious when you think about it. The hunters end up running for their lives from the very person they're supposed to be chasing. Talk about flipping the script. When you nail it, this ability can be a game changer for everyone. But there are times when it's mistimed, like when it's unleashed right after the hunter's already been frozen for a solid 4 seconds, basically canceling out that longer stun with a shorter one. Here's another scenario. Say the Enchantress or someone else just got smacked by the hunter. Now, hunters usually need a moment to gear up for another attack after landing a hit. But if the Enchantress stuns them during that recovery phase, it throws a wrench in the works, cutting short their downtime and letting them get back in the game quicker. Now, let's talk about another prime example of potential disaster. The Batter, Ganji Gupta, a harasser who can turn a hunter's day upside down. Well, that's if he manages to aim properly. Because let me tell you, there are times when this Batter couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Instead of socking it to the hunters, he ends up decking innocent walls, fences, or solid ground.
These nuts?
Trust me, I've tried my hand at playing Ganji a few times, and I know firsthand how tough it can be to nail that aim. But hey, there's something oddly entertaining about watching him whiff the shot and take a big ol' slap in the face instead. What's even worse though is when you're counting on him for a rescue, only to watch him get knocked flat on his back. Moving on, let's talk about Norton Campbell, aka the Prospector, or as I jokingly call him, Norton Samble. Norton's whole deal is about keeping the hunters at arm's length, either by pushing them away from himself or by pulling them away from other survivors. When seasoned players pull off this move, it's usually met with applause and laughter, but reality doesn't always play out like a highlight reel. Instead of shoving the hunters away, some Nortons end up yanking them right towards themselves, like they're offering a shortcut to trouble. When that happens, instead of applause, they're more likely to get a few slaps. The forward's ability is pretty versatile, whether it's rescuing teammates or making a break for it from the hunters. The problem is, some forwards don't know how to use the ability in different situations. Like when a teammate gets knocked out, instead of lending a hand and helping them off that balloon, some forwards opt to wave goodbye, leaving the survivors stranded. And if he does decide to swoop in for the rescue, brace yourself for the facepalm moment. Sometimes, they go all out trying to smack the hunter with their ability, only to whiff it in the end and end up flattened by the hunter themselves. Talk about a double KO for the hunter, leaving the rest of the team banging their heads in frustration. Upon her release, the antiquarian was initially hailed as a hunter-killer. Armed with her bamboo, she could dish out some serious punishment, leaving hunters frustrated. Her ability was so potent that she underwent several nerfs before her global release, though she still maintains her intimidating presence. However, now it's not just the hunters who fear her. Survivors are also wary of having her on their team. Why? Well, some newcomers to playing as Chi-Shi tend to get a bit overconfident. Instead of evading the hunters, they boldly take them head-on, as if it's some sort of challenge. Needless to say, they always end up on the losing side of that duel. The Wildling is another example where having a harassing ability comes in handy for self-preservation rather than helping others. With his trusty boar, he can either charge towards the hunters or make a swift getaway. And it's pretty much the same story as with the forward. Some wildlings just bolt as soon as they spot a hunter, neglecting to harass them at all. This leaves other teammates scratching their heads, wondering if they should consider eating his boar as a stress-relieving snack. The thief is your go-to when you want to shine, both literally and figuratively, because you can use his trusty tool, the flashlight, to dazzle the hunters and boost your reputation. There's just one catch: you can't mess up when using the flashlight. I often find myself pondering what's going through the thief's mind when they shine the flashlight right at the hunter's back. I mean, seriously, some thieves sneak up behind the hunter and shine the light directly on their backs. Like, come on, buddy. The whole point is to blind the hunters with the flashlight, so why shine it where their eyes aren't? Do you think their eyes are in the back of their heads or something? Oh, I get it. Maybe some hunters are like crabs and can roll their eyes to the back. Yeah, that must be it. You're a genius, thief. The last harasser I want to mention in this video is the little girl. Well, she's not exactly a harasser, but her ability allows her to push the hunter away for a short distance. The problem is, instead of pushing the hunter, some players use her ability to push fellow survivors towards the pursuing hunters, leaving the survivor in distress desperately searching for that report button to flag the little troublemaker for unfair play. Another rare issue with this little troublemaker is that she can teleport to her teammates, sometimes spawning in a really bad spot, which leaves the distressed survivor unable to move and at the mercy of the hunter. I swear, hunter mains would probably take this little troublemaker under their wing as their apprentice. These are the common issues I've encountered with every harasser in the game, based on my own experience of playing this headache-inducing game. Keep in mind, these are all just for laughs, and I don't intend to discredit any factions within the game. If you have different opinions or experiences, feel free to share them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, as always.